Hey everybody, excuse the fact that I've got my mellow Friday evening look here, but that's exactly what's going on. It's a quarter to midnight here in Omaha, and I just compulsively decided to go ahead and respond, actually, follow up with my latest video of what do you think? A lot of really thoughtful responses, and I really appreciate people sharing your thoughts. And you know, perception is reality, and it's like no one else can hold you hostage to their reality. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. Who says? You know what I'm saying? Even if there's this idea of consensus, which there is, it's like consensus for me is like being respectful to people. It's like I follow the consensus without necessarily agreeing with a lot of what the consensus is. So, from my perspective, I don't feel that anyone, well, I'm just going to speak for myself. It's like I don't have to prove what resonates for me and what works for me, because I'm speaking for what works for me, not anyone else. And so therefore, that's all it's about. Now, I'll go ahead and call and shout out MrDatacode, because this struck a nerve. It says, can you do a video about the other end of the spectrum, the opposite of autopilot, where people are afraid to do things because they are too self-aware? Well, I can speak on that to a degree. Again, this is just, what I can share through experience and also what I basically understand. But, again, because we live in the mind, mental habits can be more than mental habits. They can be signs of, needs. Could be something as simple as diet, changes in diet, that a person's thoughts maybe rage in a way that is unhealthy or feels out of control. I take it that, well, I don't take it, but being so self-aware in a way that you are afraid to do anything because you're concerned about what other people think, this is, it's kind of a logical, rational way of attempting to approach it. But this is what one thing that I work on, because just like everyone else, we go about our own business, and we're doing our lives, and we're trying to love ourselves and be ourselves, but we are assaulted by the world in many ways, and we are affected by other people, whether we like it or not. But the thing that helps me, again, and I touched on it in the last video, which is this idea that if you're afraid to do things because you're too self-aware, because you're afraid of other people's whatever, I say turn it around. It's like, is it not that these other people that you're concerned about are the same thing as you are, likely in their own ways have the same idiosyncrasies, and why is their potential judgment of you so important, or why is it so powerful? Why is the thing that's been helpful to me and continues to be helpful to me is to question things, and kind of work it through, is to question thought. Again, it's why I have a strong immunity to, other people's realities, because that's all it is, after ultimately people that don't get that we all are free, to me, after a point, are in a sense being assaultive, trying to be insist that you deal with their reality. To get back on point about this, again, it's like the power of thought. Think about it, if this is helpful to you. Maybe not, because things are not just logical, rational. There's the whole emotive part, the blending and the combination of the parts of the human psyche. And emotions and thoughts aren't logical. They don't run together. And it can be a combination of things. It can be things that may be necessarily a change of thinking, may not be the immediate solution. But I would say, if you find that the way that you're thinking about yourself and the way that you're doing things is unproductive, or not producing the things that you want, question why you give it so power. Number one, is it based on experience? And if so, when was the last time you had this experience where you were hurt or embarrassed, or whatever it is that is so unbearable, or whatever the issue is? When was this, and what really happened? And ultimately, is what happened as powerfully negative and hurtful as you say it is, or is it that that's how you frame it within your re-experiencing it inside? Because we replay things that we go through over and over again, don't we, folks? We do. So again, this whole idea of overthinking to the point that it is crippling. Again, I'm making some assumptions that that's what you're referring to, MrDatacode. And it is something, there it is, not being able to leave the house. Things can be on the level of phobic. I don't know that I think that necessarily the idea of medication is effective. Some people say that they have had and have good experiences and good results from finding a good doctor that's able to prescribe something, if it's to that point. But if it feels like it's something where you can tackle it, consciously, I would say, the thing that works for me is to check why things resonate the way they do, because the answer is usually fairly apparent to me. I ask these kinds of questions to my friends, and some people still, even though I'll kind of try to frame it and set it up, it's like they don't follow, because again, we all perceive and learn and process things, differently. But the thing that I find that works is to remind myself that everyone is human, as far as I know. Check that out. Whatever people are, as long as they're not laying hands on me, I decide for the most part what value I give to what they think of me, or what I think they think of me, because the bottom line is it's all really bouncing off of what you think of yourself, how you feel about yourself. And I've gone through periods of great depression and suicidal behavior when I was much younger, hating myself because I was still learning how to process the stuff that I had grown up being told and being done to, which made me believe things about myself that were not true and causing me a lot of misery. I don't have to, and you don't have to hold on to anything that has given you this inner identity that causes you to feel trapped. Possibly the feeling is you feel ashamed that people will see you, or whatever the issue is, or if it's not shame, if it's just fear. There's a line of philosophy that says there's just two basic emotions, love and fear. And when you're not in love, fear covers everything from anger to jealousy to all these modes, feelings. And that's why I consciously encourage myself and others to work on liking yourself and loving yourself, defining that in words. Literally, what does it mean to love oneself? Attack the beliefs that you have, consciously or unconsciously, that tell you that you don't love yourself or you don't like yourself, or not usually, but there's a lot of times that these feelings of self-loathing or self-doubt are connected to events in our lives. And if we review those events, we tend to hold on to them and give them a value that they may not really have if we look at them from another perspective, which is A happened, B is how I felt, I carry it. I carry this feeling, I review this event almost daily. We all do it, don't we? Most of us. But if you play the tape through, and this is some recovery talk I'm talking, even you even hear this sort of stuff in AA, play the tape through, which makes a lot of sense, which is, well, what's the worst that can happen, and what did happen, and is it happening again, and why are you so powerless? Are you actually powerless to these thoughts? These nagging, overly critical or gnat-ass self-awareness, It's up to it's up to you, unless you really have some chemical or emotional, electrical imbalance, something that is preventing you from chipping away at the way that you do this, because it could be pathological. I'm not the one to say, you're asking my opinion, and I'm giving you my opinion based on the information that can dredge up from within my experience, memory, what I've read, what I've been through, what I've learned through my work. I think it's a good topic to dwell upon a bit. I know I'm not talking about music, and but again, judging from the general tone of the responses, people are acquiring a value from this, from the when I do this, when I speak, and I'm grateful for that, because I know that I inherently know that it has this value, regardless of whether or not there is a person or two that just doesn't get it. Somehow they want to insist upon, it's very simple. If you have something so important to say, get in a video and get your own channel and see if anyone watches, because no one is being made to watch this, and I'm doing this purely and simply because I want to, and I'm saying exactly what I want to, doing exactly what I want to, not moving the lamp behind me, because it's kind of like, it's kind of cool the way it's setting against my head tonight. And I like sharing the things that I muse upon, because life is a challenge. And as a person of color, I'll just leave it open like that so that a lot of you can identify with what I'm saying. As a non-Caucasian person in America, it's been tough to live and figure out, what's up, what's down, what's sane, what's insane. I'm one of those people that has never bought the party line, or I've always questioned it, because it's like, the bullshit that we're taught in school, is fabricated history for the most part. I just so know it in my soul, even though there's plenty of information that I've acquired through many different sources and experiences that feed my life view. That's exactly what it is. It's the foundation I stand on, because American reality is ultimately not very friendly to, it's all about privilege. The basis is supposedly democracy, but then it's really capitalism and economics, and what that boils down to is privilege. And I ain't got nothing. So what I do have is what I continue to understand and share, which is true value as just a living entity, a living person, whatever you want to call it. We have value inherently because we are alive, and the world is full of people, institutions, laws, experiences that are seemingly set up to rob us from our ability to see ourselves in our true light, which is that we are holy, however flawed you want to see yourself, or however flawed you are, or we are still it. We are worthy of love. We are life. And it's the truth that many of us struggle to connect with. And again, in reference to the subject that got me to start the video, because I haven't lost my train of thought, which is, what do you do when self-awareness cripples you? Is if you're not completely out of control, and you really, and you have the power, which I believe you do, start to think yourself opposite, and people can't hurt you unless you let them. Again, any power you're afraid of that people are going to exercise on you is ultimately the power that you give to them. It's like, and I keep saying, unless someone attempts to lay their hands on me, what's the worst they can do? The worst they can do is disagree with you. What the fuck, And the worst they can do is show their lack of, and this is how I put it because I'm coming from my reality. When people are shitty, it's because of their lack of humanity or something that is fucked up inside of them, because there's a lot of people that get joy out of misery and, picking on others and, sadistic motherfuckers, And the reason why I say it like that is because I'm human and I recognize it in me. It's like I understand what it's like to feel the rage, that you can just rip you can rip people apart because of the insane things that you've been through. I mean, that I've been through. It's like, that's why I say, as long as you don't put your hands on me, everything is cool, What are you afraid of, if that's the issue? Anyone that's having issues with the world, if you've been physically assaulted, I understand how that traumatizes. I've been assaulted, but again, I worked through it, and it's been a long time. And the last time, I defended myself, and it ended. the bullshit ended. And this information is the key to making these things happen in our lives, because not everyone knows this. Within our educational system, I hope there's teachers that have the opportunity to throw in information like this in classrooms. I know that it was a rare teacher that I can look back and think of. I can think of a few who actually helped me to think. There were some, I'm not going to bother to try to dredge up their names, but thankfully, back in the 60s and 70s, there were teachers that were teaching you how to think, as opposed to just getting through the day and trying to get you to test well, or even just to test. I think it's real important to just hammer away at getting this information across to you all, and then loop it back to myself, which is, we don't have to take shit from anyone else's reality, because we live in the world through our consciousness. Consensus, again, that word came up. I forget the man's name. Much respect, but yes, because we're social, there's a consensual way of behaving, but we're free to define within ourselves and to take back our identities from the vicious fucking vampires of people that are out there. And thankfully, there was a person, I think it's a guy, who told his story about thinking at one time it was the noble thing to do to, what I think, and and learning and rising above it, and still saying, I believe he said, still having difficulty with, being fair-minded and peaceful with people he doesn't know. And I understand that, because I'm not quite the same way, but it's like this. Especially in the social forum, when people step to me, when we have history, and especially if you come to me in a way that is like, challenging, because I know that we have love, we share love, I'll deal with you, in a loving manner. But a stranger, out of nowhere, I don't know what their motivation is, and I don't give a fuck, because I don't know who this person is, and I don't know, it's like, number one, it's like, what are you trying to prove? What are you stepping to me like this for? Don't you understand that you don't have a lock on my mind, and I don't give a shit what you think, because I don't know who the fuck you are. And that's the thing I wanted to share with MrDatacode, that helps me to step through this life as a black man still now in this red state, because I go out in many situations socially, and it's still people's looks, and I don't give a fuck, because you can give me this look all you want to. I'm not what you're thinking. Pray to God you don't step to me like an idiot, because I'm not having it. And MrDatacode, you don't have to have it either if that's the issue. Whatever the nagging self-doubt is, or whatever it's like, I'm not perfect enough. What the fuck? Who's perfect? And no one is. What are you doing? See how it's all mental. If what your concern wasn't mental, then everyone would be doing it. But in fact, everyone is going through these permutations in their own ways, their own experiences, their own variables, working with what we were born with, and what happens to us, what we eat, what we see, what we've done, what we do. It's all an amalgamation of that, And so we're going to get the Heinz 57, 150 million billion varieties, differentiations, even though it appears we're all kind of doing the same thing, you know what I mean? But stop and think about it. It's all very individual what is happening. So take back your power, you know. Flip the script. Whatever you have to do mentally that helps you understand that it's like it's up to you unless you're ill. And I just, because of my work and what I've seen a lot of people who ultimately have just been believing that they're ill. And as soon as they get an inkling, like, wait a minute. Oh, that really isn't what I want to be doing. And slowly have been able to help themselves. And ultimately that's what we do, is we help ourselves. If anyone gets any help through these videos, which I know is happening because it helps me, but I just want you to know that I know that it's not me helping you, it's you helping yourself, deriving whatever information it is that I'm giving out that's useful to you. You take what you need. I'm happy to share it, but I'm under no illusion that I'm the holder of the keys. And that reminds me, I don't know if you happen to watch this, but a while ago someone asked me, have I ever read or know about Eckhart Tolle, or Tolle, however you say his name? Yes. The main thing I have to say about that is that I'm not into the spiritual teacher thing. I've gone through that already. And that's the first thing that I'm into, which is the idea that I'm not into needing or a spiritual teacher or guru, someone to follow. You know, I'm not looking for, and you know, again, people's perception, someone may perceive that I'm here trying to garner a following. You know, the thing is, the following happens naturally because people vibe, but it's not something that I'm here consciously saying, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and then you guys are going to follow me, because no, that's not what it's about. It's like I've been through that and understand that, you know, as free as people can be, as free as I can be, as free as you can be, is the best thing. And so, again, I'm no guru. I try to share what makes sense to me. If it resonates, then you use that information to help yourself. Isn't that powerful? Isn't it a shame that well, I want to put it like that because I'm feeling it. Here's my emotional statement. I think it's a shame that it's not more common that humans in general are sharing this kind of information with one another, that people are not on a deeper level like this, I say, trying to boost each other up. We sure need that boost. And look how long I've been talking, almost a half an hour. This is real important to me, and I want this to get through, you know. Yeah, you know, I know you're watching. A lot of people, but I know, you know, it's just so, you know, it's sad. It's like, you know, I'm not going to resort or lower myself to being insulting, because it's part of the human vocabulary. It's something that we enjoy doing, is getting down, you know. Man, I can get down, but that's not what's needed here, because that's not what this is about, you know. I'll say it again, you know, I was invaded upon. I didn't ask for your ass. It's the fucking truth, okay? Okay, MrDatacode again. Datacode, however you say your name. I really hope that this conversation, or this diatribe, or this rant, whatever you want to call it, touched something that is helpful to you. I know saying it the way I feel right now, and I'm energized. It's opened up some good stuff for me. And I really, the hope is, seriously, that it does the same for you, many of you. Thank you all.